Inspire Arcella Roofing provides the homeowner the authenticity, beauty, and quality of a traditional shake roof, but without the problems of traditional wooden shakes. A uniquely engineered composite roofing system, Arcella is stronger and more durable than cedar. It offers a Class A fire rating, a Class 4 impact rating, 110 mile-per-hour wind uplift protection, and it's virtually maintenance-free. And unlike traditional roofing products, Inspire Arcella comes with a transferable limited lifetime warranty. For the contractor and installer, Arcella has been designed and engineered to assure a fast and easy installation. By following these simple steps, you will provide a finished product that's not only beautiful, but also provides the home with the most durable protection available. Arcella Shake Roofing is installed using traditional roofing methods and tools. The shakes can be fastened with hammer and nails or with pneumatic nail guns. They can be cut with a utility knife or a standard circular saw. You'll also need a tape measure, a pry bar, tin snips, and a chalk line. Note, only use blue chalk, never use red chalk. Arcella shakes can be installed with a 10 1/4 inch exposure for roofs with a slope of 412 or greater. For roofs with a slope of 312 to 412, an exposure of 9 1/4 inches is used. Preparation. The roof substrate should be prepared as in any roofing job. Make sure that all previous roofing materials, if any, are removed down to the substrate. The area must be flat, smooth, sound, and clean. Examine the roof sheathing, verifying that sheathing joints are supported by framing and blocking or by metal clips. Verify that the substrate is properly sloped for drainage and proper provisions have been made for flashings and roof penetrations. All penetrations must be in place before installation of the shakes. The shakes must be properly stored on the job site, as the tiles have a cambered design to ensure that maximum pressure is applied to the leading edge when installed. So it's important to always store them on the original pallets and on a flat surface. Never double stack the pallets. As with any roofing installation job, work should be performed in a safe, professional manner using all applicable safety practices and codes. Note that the shakes can be slippery under certain conditions. Perform your work only when weather conditions permit. Arcella shakes should not be installed in temperatures below 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Install underlayment and flashing following the manufacturer's installation requirements and comply with all local building codes. Remember, Arcella shake roofs last a very long time. Be sure to use building materials that last as long as the roofing tiles. Nails should be stainless steel, hot-dipped galvanized, or copper. Flashings should be copper, aluminum, or steel. Use fasteners that are compatible with the metals in the roof so as to avoid stains from galvanic corrosion. Underlayment. In areas where the average winter temperature drops below 25 degrees Fahrenheit, a self-adhering ice and water barrier should be installed. The barrier should overlap the drip edge and metal flashings on the eave. It should extend a minimum of 24 inches beyond the interior wall and 36 inches for all valleys, rakes, and roof penetrations. Be sure to follow all manufacturer installation recommendations and observe your local building codes when installing the ice and water barrier. Next, install a single layer of ASTM D226 30-pound felt underlayment on all parts of the roof deck not covered by the self-adhering ice and water barrier. Install the felt perpendicular to the roof slope in parallel courses. Top lap the edges of the felt over the ice and water barrier by at least 3 inches. Side lap the ends of the felt by at least 6 inches. Top lap each additional course of felt underlayment by 3 inches and side lap when needed by a minimum of 6 inches. tack down the underlayment with the appropriate fasteners. When underlayment is applied to these standards, the roof will achieve a Class C fire rating. If a Class A fire rating is desired, a single layer of MB Technology's Lay-Fast TU35 underlayment must be installed to cover the entire roof, following the manufacturer's instructions. Additional peel and stick underlayment should be applied according to local building codes prior to laying down the TU35. Starter and first course. Arcella shake tiles come in 3 widths: 10-inch, 7 1/2 inches, and 5 inches. They are fastened to the roof substrate with only 2 nails. The nails must be placed in the 2 clearly marked spots or targets on each tile and must penetrate the roof decking by at least 3/4 of an inch. Be sure to avoid over or under penetration of the fasteners. Improper fastening voids the warranty and can compromise the roof system. Start by placing the starter pieces so that they extend no more than 1 1/2 inches beyond the eave drip edge. Nail them in place, holding a gap between starter tiles of approximately 1/2 inch. Install the first course of shakes, making sure that they are even with the butt edge of the starter course. The joints between the starter pieces and the first course should be a minimum of 2 inches, so that the nails are covered by the next course and that there are no through joints from roof surface to underlayment. When the course reaches the opposite gable edge, cut the last tile vertically to achieve a width that will result in a straight finished edge. The cut should be made along one of the vertical ribs underneath the tile. Cut the inside of the tile, that is, the side away from the roof edge, and fasten it down, maintaining the 1/2 inch gap spacing. Cut off the outside alignment tabs. Straight courses. Arcella shakes can be installed as straight courses or as staggered courses. If you desire straight courses, start by striking parallel horizontal chalk lines at 10 1/4 inch intervals or 9 1/4 inch intervals, beginning at the top of the first course of shakes. These lines will be your guide to ensure that the shakes are installed straight and uniformly. 10 1/4 inches is the maximum exposure when installing straight courses on roofs with pitches of 412 or greater. For roofs with pitches of 312 to 412, strike the lines at 9 1/4 inches. Note that there are 9 1/4 inch and 10 1/4 inch exposure marks molded on each tile. When you place the marks on top of the previous tiles, you will also maintain the proper exposure. However, installing to a chalk line is the preferred method. Continue placing shakes horizontally, altering sizes, and maintaining at least 2-inch joints over the seams in the previous course. Continue placing the courses vertically, starting each new course on 10 1/4 inch intervals. Staggered courses. Arcella shakes can also be installed in staggered courses. Lay down the starter pieces and first course just as you normally would. Strike parallel horizontal chalk lines at 9 1/4 inch intervals, beginning at the top of the first course of shakes. These lines will be your guide to ensure that the shakes are installed straight and uniformly. 9 1/4 inches is the maximum exposure when installing staggered courses on roof pitches greater than 412. Now start the second course of shakes. The top of the first shake in the second course should be placed on the chalk line. The next shake in the course should be placed 1 inch below the chalk line. The locating tabs will assist in this process, and the 9 1/4 inch molded mark will also align with the top of the underlying tile. Continue placing the shakes horizontally, altering sizes, and maintaining at least 2-inch joints over the seams in the previous course. Alternate the shakes, placing one on the chalk mark and the next one 1 inch below the chalk mark. Note that if the course ends at an open edge, you should cut the shake along the closest vertical rib so as to show a closed edge from the ground. Cut off the outside alignment tabs. Continue placing shakes vertically, aligning the top of each new shake with the next chalk line or 1 inch below the chalk line. Valleys. There are two types of valley configuration you can use: open and closed. An open valley design may be appropriate if the roof is subject to snow, ice, and debris, as the wider spacing helps to keep the valley clear. If climatic conditions or building codes require it, install a full-length, 36-inch wide, self-adhering ice and water shield centered on the valley. When using an open valley design, a double W valley should be used. Install the valley flashing using metal cleats on 24-inch centers. Overlap the flashing by at least 8 inches and set the joints in sealant. The trimmed edges of each shake should extend 4 inches over the valley metal. They should butt up against the raised portion of the flashing, which will hide the structural ribbing on the bottom side of cut shakes. When installing the shakes over the valley flashing, be sure to avoid nailing through the underlying metal. If you use a closed valley design, a single diverter W flashing or a standing I-seam flashing should be used. Again, install a full-length, 36-inch wide self-adhering ice and water shield centered on the valley. Install the valley flashing using metal cleats on 24-inch centers. Overlap flashing sections by at least 8 inches and set the joints in sealant. The trimmed edges of each shake should extend over the valley metal. They should butt up against the raised portion of the flashing to hide the structural ribbing on the bottom side of cut tiles. Flashings. Flashings should be used around all roof penetrations, such as walls, chimneys, dormers, vent pipes, or skylights. Apron or wall-to-roof flashing is used when a roof terminates to a wall, causing a course to be cut and face-nailed. Place the horizontal part apron flashing over the top of the shakes and fasten the vertical part of the flashing to the wall. It will be overlapped by the siding or counter cap flashing. The end of the apron flashing should extend beyond the wall and be finished off with a step flashing which is appropriately sealed at the corners. Step flashings should be used when a pitched roof comes into contact with a vertical wall. Individual pieces of metal flashing should be installed at the end of each shake to prevent water intrusion. They should extend under the uppermost row of the roof shake. The vertical leg of the metal should be turned up a minimum of 4 inches and extend 4 inches on the shake, with an optional 3/4-inch hem. Step flashings should have a minimum length of 12 inches and must overlap a minimum of 2 inches. Penetrations through the roof deck, such as vents or pipes, require a flat flange around the penetration. The flashing should be placed above the penetration and overlap the lower course of shakes. Capmaster decorative vent stack covers can be added to cover the vent or pipe. The bottom flange of the stack cap is marked with lines that indicate where to trim so as to match the roof pitch. Hips and ridges. Arcella preformed shakes are used to finish off hips and ridges. Start by chalking a straight line. Place one piece of preformed hip and ridge shake at the eave and one near the peak to act as guides to mark the beginning and end of the line. Snap the chalk line at the edge of the shake on the top and bottom pieces. This will help keep the hip straight in the event of a crooked underlying structure. Install the hip shakes from the eave to the peak using a maximum exposure of 10 1/4 inches. Fasten the hip shakes with 2 fasteners, one on each side, nailing in the designated target area. The fasteners must be 3 inches long and must penetrate the deck by a minimum of 3/4 of an inch. Ridge vents. 1 square foot of net-free area is required for every 300 square feet of attic floor space for a balanced ventilation system split between the ridge and soffit. 1 square foot of ventilation for every 150 square feet of attic floor space is required if this balance cannot be achieved. Ventilation is necessary for the extended life of the roof system. An unvented roof or improperly vented roof system will void the warranty of the Arcella Shake roof system. Ridgemaster Plus ridge vents can be used on either ridgepole construction roofs or truss construction roofs. In either case, start at one end of the ridge and install each section of the vent, with the embossed arrows pointing in the direction of assembly. Each new section clips into place with the preceding sections. Use 3-inch roofing nails to fasten the vent through the top course and into the roof substrate. The nails should be placed through the pre-existing holes along the outside edges of the vent. Finally, install the pre-formed ridge shakes along the top of the vent. Push the shake down to conform to the profile of the roof line and vent. Use 3-inch roofing nails and nail through the pre-marked target on the shakes. The nails must penetrate the roof substrate by at least 3/4 of an inch. Visit InspireRoofing.com for more information, including additional Inspire Roofing products. All products are backed by a limited lifetime guarantee.